Well, there's an old saying that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Basically, that two parties can get together against a common opponent. That could be what's going on here, as Billy Napier, the former Florida head coach, was seen at Georgia's practice just ahead of what? The the Texas-Georgia game. Of course, Florida, Billy Napier had a lot of success against the Longhorns, getting the win there in the swamp. And these two coaches, of course, former Nick Saban disciples, are getting together. And once again, Billy Napier with some time on his hands, saying, you know what, let me help out my guy, Kirby Smart, as he gets ready for the Texas Longhorns. Welcome into Southeast Sports Plus. Gerhard Mathangani, joined by Patrick Walsh. Patrick, I think why this headline was really intriguing to me is the timing of it. Billy Napier's been out of a job for a while, and just now he moseys on over to Athens right before the kickoff of a huge game.
We talked, you said about a month ago now, ahead of the Georgia-Kentucky game, that Mark Stoops might be trying to hype up Kirby Smart to try and get a spot on his staff. Well, who knows? Maybe Billy Napier is trying to get a spot on Kirby Smart's staff heading over to Athens this week ahead of the game against Texas. And I think it's a great idea. I mean, yeah, they were rivals when Napier was at Florida and then Kirby at Georgia. That's one of the oldest rivalries you can find around the sport. But I think it's a great idea. Yeah. He obviously had success against Texas this year. It's the last time Texas lost.
Right.
And I mean, again, looking at this week for Texas, we'll talk more about Texas later, but they're coming off an open week. The last time they came off an open week, they lost.
Right.
And it's a big game against Georgia.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think when you break down this matchup, and we've talked about it before with Texas and Georgia, the defenses for both these teams are very, very different going into it. But Billy Napier was able to scheme up a game plan where DJ Lagway, their quarterback, as you see, had his best game up to that point in the season. Now, I don't know if the same will work with Gunnar Stockton because, of course, it's a different skill set. But I do think that Billy Napier can drop some little nuggets of information here to let the coaching staff know, the offensive coaching staff, and Kirby Smart know, hey, this will work against what we saw from Texas defense.
Well, if you go back to the Florida Texas game earlier this season, there was one guy that really stood out, and it was Dallas Wilson in his first collegiate game.
That's right.
6 catches, 111 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. That's the best debut by any Florida wide receiver in program history, and that definitely helps. So who does Georgia have that could be a Dallas Wilson type? Zachariah Branch.
Yes, that's right.
He's coming over from, I believe it was USC last year. He has got to get into the secondary and make those explosive plays. We've talked all season about how Georgia doesn't really have that explosive play capability.
Right.
He's a guy that can definitely do it. And against Texas, a team that a couple of weeks ago, they kind of let up on Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt started chunk play. You can make the argument it was garbage time and you're just playing prevent. But still, I mean, there's the opportunity there.
Yeah, this game also being on the road, another road game for Texas. I also think that there's some things that Billy Napier can tell. Hey, maybe if you're a support staff or if you're game day operations crew does these certain things at these certain times, late in the play clock or just whatever, some smaller things. I think more the nuanced things, because the similarities are really parallel with both these teams. But like you said, since then, Texas hasn't lost. And since then, their quarterback has played some really good football as of late. Do you expect Arch to continue that? Or do you expect Billy Napier to tell Kirby some things defensively that they could scheme some things up to really throw Arch off his game?
Well, I think, again, it's going to come down to the pass rush, and that's just what we've talked about with Georgia all year. We've seen when Arch gets pressured in his face, he doesn't really perform as well as you might expect a preseason Heisman candidate to perform.
Right.
Now, when you go up against the Vanderbilt defense, which, they've had that bend, don't break mentality all season long. They'll keep you off the scoreboard, but it's because they lure you into these going for it on fourth down deep in their own territory, and that's where they get the stops.
Right.
So Vanderbilt's going to give up yards. Mississippi State is also going to give up yards, and you just don't know what you're going to see out of Arch Manning coming off an open week because it wasn't pretty. You know, they thought that they found something against Sam Houston leading up to the open week earlier in the season.
Right.
And then he came out flat in the Florida game. I know he had some good stats to end the game, but again, that was garbage time, as we like to call it.
That's exactly right. We got a chance to hear from Kirby Smart about that pass rush and some growth that he has seen so far with his football team.
Yeah, it's a challenge every play. There's 6 gaps, sometimes 7 gaps up there you got to fill, and you can't fill them all. So you got to rush intelligently and violently, and those two don't always mix. So it's hard to do that and contain the quarterback. We've had some opportunities to get sacks that we've capitalized on. We had a couple chances on normal down stuff the last week with Mississippi State's style of play, but it'll be key this week for sure because Archer's really good. They're really good at protection. They know what they're doing. They've got different protections, and that's a challenge every week for our defense to try to affect the quarterback. I've been really proud of the consistency in practice, so I don't know that that's an improvement. I think that is a staple of this team. They have committed to practicing the right way and improving in a time when some teams are going the other way.
Finally, it's really interesting with Georgia because they have Texas now. They have Georgia Tech to end off the season. And Georgia, to me, is in a really interesting position as it relates to the college football playoff as well, because there are a lot of things that can happen around them. With Alabama, of course, they still have the Iron Bowl to play. Texas still has Texas A&M to play throughout this season. Where do you see this Georgia team as it stands right now? Because in years past, I think we've been able to define Georgia in a more crystallized form. This year, I feel like we're doing it's Georgia on the helmet, it's Georgia on the logo, it's Kirby on the sidelines, but it doesn't look the same from the outside looking in.
Right, and honestly, if Georgia wins this game and Alabama loses, there's a chance that Georgia could lock up a spot in the SEC championship.
Right.
Because if I'm not mistaken, this is their last SEC game.
Yes.
And I don't remember who they play next week, and then they have the clean old-fashioned hate to end the year.
Right.
Right. Where are you seeing it?
Okay. I picked that up. Yeah, Charlotte.
Charlotte. Yeah. So they got Charlotte, and then they've got Georgia Tech to end the year, which